everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, so this is actually the last power hour, the M3 power hour. So, yes, so we are going to be redirecting the power hour to our Fierce Friday. It will be 2 business calls a month. Okay, so let's hey, Grace. Okay, so let's wait a little bit and invite everyone on who message your team, let them come on, and then we will get started. I have a special guest and I have some really goodies for you guys. So let's wait a little bit. Let's just wait a little bit.
Let's wait a bit.
Yeah. Let's give them 2 more minutes and we will start. But we started recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you be on camera so I can see everyone, please? So for everyone who doesn't know, hey, Grace, this is my husband, Leo Bacardi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Oh, there is everyone. Oh, there is my council member, the chairwoman herself, Stephanie Dawn. Hey, how are you? She's such a busy woman. Thank you so much.
I'm just coming out of a yoga class, Kundalini yoga, but I couldn't miss the top. Hi Leo. Hi Taz.
Hi, Stephanie.
So we just mentioned, we opened the call by telling everyone that this is going to be the last M3 Power Hour.
Yeah, it is. And we're bringing all this goodness that everyone's been getting here once a month to Fierce Friday. So join us every Friday for Fierce Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard, 2 p.m. Eastern, because we got some good content that we're offering over there, aren't we? I mean, we really work hard to create value every Fierce Friday. I'm very proud of all the past ones that we've done. Go check out our YouTube channel, you guys, and see all that we've already been putting out into the world. I'm proud of us.
I am as well. So we have the YouTube channel and we have the blog. We have a Million Mom Movement blog. For whoever doesn't know about it yet, go check it out. Go check out the blog and go check out our recipes because we make this. It's a family thing, right? We incorporate this in our living. It's not always just about juice. You can cook with it. You can bake with it. You can do so many things. So should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Okay. So I initially had planned for this to be business strategies, but you know what? Because this is the last M3 Power Hour, I decided to have my husband on, Leo Bacardi. And for whoever doesn't know about him, I was introduced to the business through him. It all began with him. So I wanted to have him on, and we are going to give you business strategies on how we are building this family empire through residual income.
All right. Thank you, Taz. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. So I put together a few slides that I'm going to share right now. And those who know me know that I'm all about your why. So let me move this little screen here. All right. So I'm trusting that Zoom is doing its job. So really, so the power hour, like Taz said, this is the last power hour. So join them on Fierce Fridays. So really, why Purium and why now? We could step into the weeds and get to the training, and there's plenty of calls for the training. I want to take a step back this evening and look at Purium in your life from a bigger picture, right? Why Purium? Why now? And what connected Purium to me, or me to Purium? How many years ago now? 5, 6 years ago, yeah. Is because I saw the vision that I could build with Taz a multi-generational family empire with this business model. And to me, that is the smartest retirement plan for the century that we live in, for the reality that we live in. And it's also, interestingly, a great catalyst to improving the relationship with your partner when you work this business in a team, right? So we want to have this call be interactive. So please do share your questions. And we will have a time towards the end where you can unmute and ask your questions over voice. But please do put your questions in the chat.
I want to mention, like, this Purium and the Million Mom movement, we see so many women. We see so many women on the platform who are so vocal. But you know what? We all have partners. A lot of us have partners, and we have spouses who are not on board. This is what I've been noticing. And what I notice with this is that they're not on board because they don't understand the business aspect of what we're really doing. So I am so blessed and fortunate to have you who saw the vision before I even saw it. So I would love for you to share your knowledge of what you saw before I saw it.
Yeah. So what I saw really was a way that residual income is the modern way to save, right? So let's think back to our parents or even our grandparents, right? They would work, put money aside, give some to you because you were a child, and then they'll tell you, don't spend it all in one place, right? But what happened is that is like they worked and then they saved and they saved for their retirement, and then they had government pension and some funds, but it was never abundant, right? So we want to live in abundance. We want to make sure that how we will live now and how we live 50 years from now is abundant. So what I saw in this business model is when you invest your time at the beginning, you see your time as an investment. You're not trading hours for dollars, right? Even if you could charge $100 an hour, you still won't get the high lifetime ROI, return on investment, that a business like Purium brings to you, right? Because we put in work for the first 2-3 years, and now we're building on top of that work, right? So I have a career in sales, and every year I start back at zero, right? I have to justify my income. I have to justify my performance, which is sales and so on. So I always start back at zero, and I never build on top of the previous years, because that's not how corporate business models work. So the beauty about this business model is that it allows you to not waste your time. Every second, hour, day, week you put into this business, it will bring you back for a lifetime. And what's great about this is that you could give it to your kids, right? Your legacy is transferable. Financial legacy is transferable, right? You have families that have owned real estate properties for decades. That's awesome. But you have to maintain the property, and there's a system, and you've got people you hire. Like, there's a whole
Expenses.
organization, but there's expenses to it, right? The only expense your kids will have with the Purium business is to order food once a month. Is to order the product once a month. And if they grew up with the business, right? And this is the next part. If they grow up with the business, then they're going to want to continue the business, right? Because it comes down to what is here, is that it allows you to show your kids that once you're aligned with your vision and your mission and your financial goals, and they see the parents collaborate around something other than family things, which is like schooling and expenses and house and everything, right? It builds this foundation for great family values, right? And we're starting to see the beginnings of it with our son, who's always on
calls. He's always on calls. I invite him.
And our daughter, who takes her power shake every morning to class and drinks it and answers questions. And you've actually had quite a few parents from the school who you don't actively prospect,
Yeah.
come to you, right? So, and all you're doing is putting good out into the world, right? Okay. And just to add to the, just to speak to the last point on this slide, is that when you're working with a partner in this business, it allows you to add variety in your conversations, right? So, if you're married or you're in a couple, you're in a relationship, that you don't necessarily run out of things to talk about, but you run out of new things to talk about. So when you're talking about business, it actually balances the energy and the mood in the household, right? Because you could be like not having a good conversation about something in the house, right? Or something you have to do. But when you bring it back to the business, now you had that common goal.
Can I also add it? Let's say it's your spouse or a new relationship. It can also strengthen the relationship because now they get to see what you're doing and what you're passionate about.
Yeah. And it also allows you to see your spouse develop, add new
Yes.
skills, and
This is really a personal development business.
yeah, well, of course,
Yes.
of course it is. So really, if I come back to this first slide, right, where I put it all in one sentence, that why Purium is because it allows you to build an empire with residual our increasing cost of living, and our income is not really going up in the other in our day-to-day jobs, and all the while you build family values, you improve yourself and you improve your relationship, right? So I don't have a lot of slides. These were all the slides, right? So I'm happy to continue the conversation.
Yes, if anyone has questions, let's look at the chat and see if anyone has any questions. Okay. Hi, Grace. Hi, Becky. Hi, Hannah. Spreading love ultimately. Okay. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, we are happy to answer. Let's make this interactive. Because if you have questions, especially about having your spouse on board, I get this question so many times of how can we have our spouse on board with us, and making them see how this is a huge business and to understand the business opportunity of this, right? Like real estate, this for me is better than real estate.
Yeah. And in anything, you always break it down, right? You see what your end goal is, and you break it down, and you see what's the level of time, investment, and effort that's needed to reach that goal. And there is a real reason why they call network marketing the 4-year career, because if you dedicate yourself for that amount of years, you will set yourself up to have a career level income in a short amount of time that's residual, right? So I think we have a question.
Yes, from Jalisa. Okay, so my husband works overnight full-time and is in school part-time. How do I get him more involved in the business without overwhelming him?
You know what? That's interesting. Yeah. We actually coached a couple a few weeks ago. You have to understand, so both you and your husband have to understand what are the actions to take in this business, right? And so what we're seeing is that when it's the wife or the female part of the couple that's taking the lead, right, in terms of prospecting, in terms of closing, well, there's a whole back end to the business, right? There's knowing how to manage the back office. There's knowing how to get the right information from the back office to then reach out to people who haven't reordered, or to kind of maintain their relationship, to prevent your customers from
Customer retention.
from churning. So churn is an industry term in subscriptions, and Purium is a subscription-based business.
Our smart order.
Smart orders is a subscription. So you want to make sure that they reorder every month, right? So there's that part of, sharing that responsibility.
So what you're saying is making the husband the back office. Okay. So this is what my husband's the expert at. I'm the face of our company, right? I'm the one who does the videos. I do the cooking. I take care of the kids. And he does the back office. He takes care of all of the customers. He looks at who we need to contact, who hasn't reordered this month, who's on smart order, what happened there, sending them emails, and for our entire team.
Exactly.
So I hope that answered the question, Jaleesa. And this is a great way to have them show their business sense without feeling overwhelmed, right?
I think the more detailed you can be, a clear, simple, and detailed you can be in how you need his help, I think that will frame it better than just saying, well, I need you to be part of my business, right? Because it's not clear.
Right. And then they'll feel overwhelmed. Yeah, but I can't go on camera and do lives. Right. But then you know what you do? You start looking at their skills. What are they good at? How can you make them shine? Just like how we prospect people and we bring out the best in them, you have to do the same thing for your spouse. How can we bring out the best in them and make them shine? Right?
Exactly. Lisa, get him involved in things that he's good at.
Exactly.
And then he'll probably get curious in the things he's not sure he could do. And then he'll try. And then that's when the personal development comes into play.
Exactly. And then this way, they're not feeling overwhelmed. They're not feeling pressured. And it strengthens your relationship. And then you get to see how each other grows because you grow through the business differently. Right?
That's correct.
Like we grew through this business completely different.
Yeah.
And my personal development is completely different in your personal development, right? But we grew with it together. And what I've noticed is that when you work this business with your partner, what happens to your business? It grows exponentially. Okay, so the strength in numbers. And what I love is that we, as women, we can go onto the Fierce Friday calls, and then we have a community there. So we can lean in on that. And then we don't have to put so much pressure on our spouses, right? Because we have a different community that we are getting support from.
The level of support in this business and in this company, it is amazing. I have not found a level of support in any corporation that I've worked for without having to outsource and pay for that resource, right? So we have to understand the blessing that we have here, right? Is that we've got our upline, we've got the support team, we've got corporate. It is amazing that you can build a multi-million-dollar business not by yourself, but for yourself, right?
That was one of the main aspects that drew me to this business, because to build this business by myself, I could not do it. And doing it solely with you, I couldn't do that either. I needed to tap in to the community. And once I started tapping into the community, then that allowed me to build a business with you.
Yeah.
Right? We actually reverse engineered it.
Yes. And having the guidance of the upline is golden. This is the last M3 power hour. So I'm gonna give a shout out. I'm gonna give a shout out to Eric Mish. I'm gonna give a shout out to Joel Calendrillo, Ian Farrar, and the list goes on and on and on. Like the support that we all have in our team and even across teams, right? We could plug in
whole
to
Million Mom
trainings.
Council.
Exactly.
Everyone, Stephanie, Dawn, Naeva, Carmela, Rebecca, John, even she's still recovering. She's still there and present and with us. and Jody Parker. Like, we have an incredible support team.
Yes.
So any questions, guys? We are here. We are here. Like, this is sharing, this is learning. We will be teaching throughout the entire session, but we want to make this interactive so you get the most out of this.
If you guys saw a topic in the slides you want us to zero in on, expand on, please do share. All right, let's see here. All right.
So let's talk a little bit about your why.
Yeah.
Okay. So I find this really important to become solidified with your why with this business.
Yeah. So interestingly, the why is not money. It's not retirement. It's not, like the why starts with the mission of the company, where we found alignment with what we were searching for in our own lives before Purium, right? And just when that alignment, that connection is so strong, that's when you start being more open-minded and saying, you know what, I could do this, right? Is when your connection to the reason why you are investing your time, right? Because time is our most valuable resource, right? It's not money, it's our time. It's finite in this lifetime. So really, where we choose to invest it is important, right? Just how where we choose to invest our money is important, but our time is way more valuable.
You can never get your time back, right? And spending quality time with your kids,
yeah,
isn't that the biggest gift? And to share this knowledge with them, like, I'm so grateful to be doing this with my kids at such a young age. They get to see how I've grown. They've known from the beginning how everything has happened, how I flourish, how they flourish, how they's change. Like, my son would say, oh, okay, I'm gonna have that. Oh, I need to take my biomedic before. He's so in tune with his body and listening to himself. And you know what happens with that? That leads to a very strong self-confidence.
Yes.
Right? And when we can strengthen the self-confidence in our kids, isn't that initially everything?
Yeah, and that is also something that is a challenge as parents, because you're not always with your kids. They're at school, they're playing with friends, we're busy, right? So we're at home during this whole pandemic, and Tas has Zooms, I have Zoom, right? And then our son is in school and our daughter's in school, but having, other activities that we do inside the house build that confidence, right? So even the products themselves and the interaction around the product, the education, right? And even how, our kids start to project that posture around healthy foods, right? And talking to their friends, you shouldn't be eating that. That also starts to build confidence, starts to build a good character, right? And
to stand up for themselves. If they don't believe in something, question it, right? Oh, I don't think that's right. How about this? The toxins there. It's bringing awareness to them on so many levels. So that translates to other things that happens in their life, because now they are trained. They know, their brains know how to question things.
Yeah, and it's clearly an education that you can't pay for outside of your house.
Yeah.
You can't send them to a school where they learn about the effects of glyphosate. No. Right? It's part of this community, right? And that's another blessing, is that being part of Purium as a business, but also the community, and then meeting, when we used to meet and when we will meet back as a group, seeing like-minded, kind souls gives them a whole different perspective on who they should have around them when they grow up.
Okay, that's a huge point. Okay, so now you're showing the kids that they are part of a community as well. Okay, they are a part of a community, and even though they don't have a community at school, they can tap into the community here. And when we meet in person at conventions, unconventions, we are all together, and they're all like-minded individuals. As a Million Mom Councils, we all have kids and we all live the same life. If you have a child who's not tapped into our lifestyle, because this is what we're about, introduce them to one of us. Have them get on a call with one of our kids. I'm pretty sure their minds will change because our kids, like us, understand the awareness and want to share this message forward. So, we just keep teaching, and it begins in the home. The more we change our families, it radiates to everyone around us.
Well said, sweetie.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
If you guys have any questions, please share with us. We are happy. Okay, I have a question. How about if you have a spouse who is not on board, who's very resistant?
The spouse who is not on board.
Yeah.
All right. It's a very, very good question. I think it's important that there's an education that happens with the spouse, right?
So, what kind of education?
Well, it's understanding the benefits, right? So for some spouses,
like financial benefits.
Okay. Exactly. So maybe that's the first keyword or the first trigger, right? That lights up. Okay. So you're talking about making 6 figures with this business within 2, 3, 4 years. Okay. If that is enough to bring the spouse to the table, then you bring in a support system, your upline, to talk business, right? So understand what's important to the spouse, right? Because you don't know what the spouse is thinking about until you ask the questions, until you uncover it, right? Is it a lack of belief in the business model? Is it that he doesn't want his partner to spend time there because it's going to take away time from something else, which will give more responsibility to the spouse, because then he has to balance out the availability of having a parent if you have kids, right? So there's a lot of asking why, right? But always in the scope of saying this is going to make your relationship better. This is going to be an advantage for you. All right.
So would you you would bring the spouse on a connect call? That would be your first step.
Yes.
Okay.
And understand what are the expectations of that call. Okay. Set the expectations of that call, right? And as much as possible, get certain questions that the spouse has or concerns or worries. Understand what is the blockage before you get to that call. If the spouse cannot vocalize that blockage but still comes to the call, that means he or she is curious.
How about not being able to get the spouse to a call?
Well, that's probably the job of some other professional.
Okay.
But yeah, no, not getting the spouse on the call. I think as much as possible, the half of the couple that is in Purium, keep doing Purium, because the same way you have people on your social media that have to see you, do the same thing for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they come to you, right?
Same thing with your spouse.
The same thing with your spouse. If you show consistency,
and it's harder. I feel it's harder with your spouse than strangers. So you have to be consistent in it. If you decide to give up, well, what happens?
Exactly. Well, then you probably, there's a reason why your spouse was not on board, is probably a preconceived notion about the other person's ability to succeed in this business, right? But they're making their decision with you now or you, 2 years ago, as opposed to you in the future, right? They're not seeing that you have potential to change and make and make changes and be successful.
So let's talk about that. When a spouse doesn't see that you can make these changes, who doesn't see your potential?
I think you keep your head down. You keep your head down and you keep doing it, because it'll actually move you forward, right? And then at one point, there's going to be a gap between both spouses. Not a like a distance gap, but a kind of a performance gap or a mindset gap.
Okay.
Right? A non-tangible gap that is going to be noticeable. So at one point, the spouse that's not on board is going to have to wake up and make a decision. Do I follow? Do I support? Or do I stay on the side? Right?
Love it. It's great. Okay, Linda wrote something great. I wanted to show my husband the product. So we sat down and looked at the I Learn module A to Z. I love that module. And to see what might look good for products for both of us to use individually and how they could help. And now he went from I don't want to take the products to doing a 3 months of the ULT. That's amazing. Congratulations, Linda. We're so proud of him and yourself.
And that is awesome, because what you did is that you brought in a third-party validation, which is a static tool, but you're not the one saying the words. So you could be at the dinner table in front of your spouse reading what's on that page, and your spouse will not
tune out.
Exactly.
Right.
If they do the work themselves. I think a lot of people are not yet coachable. So they want to do the work themselves. They feel because they're probably in a individual contributor role at their job, and maybe they contribute individually to the household or to the couple, right? So they're not used to leveraging other things, other people to kind of have the success. So if they feel like they have to do it on their own, they have to earn the success on their own, as opposed to benefiting from everyone's effort, right? So it's amazing what you did is that you brought the information to him and you let him make the decision.
Yeah, and that's using the tools. That's a third-party validation, right? So he's not hearing it from you, because sometimes he might say, well, how do you know? Who are you? You don't have this knowledge, right? But I know someone who knows. I know someone who knows all of this, right? So this is these are all the business strategies that we implement in Purium. So that's perfect. Okay, who else? This is the Q&A period.
All right, people, loosen up, loosen up, raise your hands, raise the hand. Come on. If you don't raise the hands, I'm going to be like the teacher that's going to point you out.
Unmute, share with us. So what else do you think we need to cover? Okay, I always hear that, spouses who make a lot of money, they're the breadwinner of the family, and they don't think it's possible that their wives could make a substantial income with this business. They think it's almost a hobby.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You need to rewire that brain. How? I think it's that's a question for maybe one whole Zoom. I would say that it's important for to meet the spouse where he or she is at, right? So I said before, keep your head down, right? So I think it's important for any spouse, but in the situation you're saying that the husband is earning more than the wife, and the wife wants to earn her own, okay. I think it's important to have that conversation with your spouse. Understand, try to vocalize what it means. Like, what's your why, right? Because if for him he thinks it's money, right, then he'll say, well, we have all the money that we need, right? And in his mind, you have to understand, you have to get him to vocalize why, right? Is it that he wants his wife to spend her time doing other things, and not work? He wants to spend, the wife has other responsibilities that if she's not working, they will fall on him, or he would have to hire out, right?
I'm just playing devil's advocate, okay? So let's say he says that this is taking away time from raising the kids. This is taking away time for something else she could be doing.
Well,
instead of doing this business, there's something else she could be doing.
Well, raising the kids is a team sport. Right, so it's not tennis. You're not passing the ball from one side to the next. I think it's important to be a team with your spouse when it comes to raising your kids, and then understanding that you're each allowed to have your career.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. So I would mention the time freedom, okay? Because what we do gives us time freedom. We can put in 5 hours a week that could pay us an exponential amount of money, okay? So comparing this to a 9-to-5 job, it does not compare, right? So this is another aspect that you can have with your spouse. And again, bringing them on a call with your upline, because your upline has seen success, so they can speak on that and say and show them, this has happened to me, and look as what has happened to my family. Or, you can bring them on a call with one of us. We are happy to have one with you. Okay, let's read. Gretchen, this is the only experience I have with the products. Why should I serve as the seller of the products rather than purchase the product and be done with it?
So Gretchen, you're asking, why should you become a brand partner as opposed to being a customer of the product? I think number one, we're all customers, lifetime customers. I think once you start using Purium, you start taking, you order it, you put this premium fuel into your body, you'll always be a customer. Where you start, and I think you're starting to have that thought process is, do I want other people to have the same benefits, to feel the same way as I'm feeling, right? Because that's the whole reason why we're here. We want people to be healthy. We want people to not have the pains and the suffer, right? So, and
we are beyond the products. We are part of a mission greater than ourselves. I think when we start concentrating on that, that this is beyond products. Like the products it's like the byproducts. Great. We have great products, but this is a mission-based company. What company can you be a part of that cares about plastic free, that cares about paying us for sharing this movement, that cares about, we have servant leadership. We have so many things that a company cares about, that having the highest products, organic, everything, that cares so much about building up families and, millions on a movement. And, we have so much to offer in this company that the products alone, like the products are, they're just a bonus for me.
Yeah.
And you get to develop so much in your personality and in yourself.
Exactly. They're a bonus, but they're also the foundation of the company, right? So what I would say is, if you're contemplating getting involved as a brand partner, be clear on what your objective is, right? So that when you connect with the person who brought you into the company as a customer, right? Your brand partner. So then you can start having that conversation from the right information from the beginning, right? We've come across people who say, I just want to pay for my own, I want the business to pay for my products. And that's awesome, right? This is the amount that of activity that you need to do to generate the income to pay for your products, right? We've had people who say, I want to retire my husband, I want to retire my wife, I want to, pay off my parents' house, right? It's all objectives, right? So you have
And part of your why.
and part of your why.
Yeah.
So you have objectives that are met by key results, and the key results are achieved by activities, right? The formula is simple, right? But definitely, if you're asking this question, Gretchen, is because you're curious, and I think it's time to have that conversation with your enroller.
Perfect. Anyone else? We are happy to answer any questions, anything you're stuck with, any business strategies, any strategies at all. Mika, this is Mika's wife. So he let me try the product shake, but I didn't like it at all. But I do social media a lot. Would that be better to help him out to get the products out to friends and family?
So Purium, so you had the Power Shake. So the Power Shake is kind of like the flagship product. It is an amazing product, but you're right, not everyone likes the taste, right? And I think it's important to understand why you don't like the taste, because what we found is also that when your body is not used to a certain type of food or alkalinity, the products taste a bit different.
Right. So if your body's highly acidic, it won't taste good. But that's a great indication. Swirl it in your mouth, see how it feels. Keep using it, and it becomes better with time. Okay. So it's a great indication of how the health of your body actually is. The more acidic it is, the worse it would taste. And as it becomes alkaline with time, it changes. Okay.
Exactly. And it's amazing that you're on social media, and there's a lot of content. There's a lot of videos, right? So what comes through is authenticity, right? How authentic are you in what you're communicating, right? So what I would say is that Purium has 60 plus products, right? If the Power Shake doesn't work for you,
Don't use it.
don't even promote it,
Yeah.
because you may not be authentic, but there's other products that maybe connect to a why or a value or a mission. Is it gut health, gut repair, biomedic? Is it immunity, right? There's immune products, immune packs.
Right.
So you can help your husband in that way, to kind of
encourage
and get some traction and some traffic to him, so that he could continue his growth within his business.
Right. And he doesn't have to only share the Power Shake. Like if this doesn't speak to him, he could share something else that he's making. If he's making a delicious meal, he could show that. He can, he wants to have the apothecary at the end. He can have that. This is a lifestyle. Okay. So we're not pushing product. We are showing people how to live better. Okay. So this is a great way to show people how to live better. Choose something else. If the Power Shake doesn't work for you, as you said, we have 60 products, and we have the incredible Zinc Aid that was just released. Okay. This is an amazing product. Zinc is like all the hype right now, and it's paired with vitamin C, E, A, and D, right? So, I mean, you could just talk about zinc all the time and build a massive business.
Exactly. And Kevin, you really hit it on the spot. If your expertise is social media, you could be the person behind the scenes helping your partner with the social media aspect to it, right? It is, it is more than, quote unquote, a full-time job, right? You have your own business, right? most business owners work more than a 40-hour, than 9 to 5, but they're passionate about it, so it doesn't seem as long, and they know the rewards at the end of the day, and at the finish line, right? The long term, right? So and again, it's an upfront investment that will pay you over a lifetime.
And I always encourage, if you have kids, to bring your kids on, to have your kids on and to have them share and talk about nutrition, what they like, what they don't like, what they're making. I mean, education is key on all levels. So anyone else? This is the Q&A session. Beautiful. Anyone else? Any questions for us? Do you have anything else to share? You have so much wisdom.
So much wisdom.
Yeah.
I want to applaud you for committing to the growth. To the growth. You should have seen Taz the first time she had to do a Facebook Live. I think I still have the like nail marks. She was so nervous that she did, right? But it's like anything. It's like going to the gym. It's like, you know, starting something new. You just practice, and it becomes second nature.
Exactly. So Linda wants to know more on the family empire. Talk more about that.
The family empire.
Yes.
All right. So I think as a parent and as a father, you always think about how to provide. And you want to make sure that you leave your generations better off than what you started, right? So that's every parent's, you know, preoccupation, right? So the way I see this as a family empire is that we're a couple working this business, right? So that could be just the nucleus of your family, and so you're working as a team towards adding that income. So like I cannot speak highly enough about residual income. If you look at, you know, the founders of this company, Ian Farrar, Joel Calandrillo, right? They are living an amazing life and they're still helping, right? So they're quote unquote retired, right? They're not actively prospecting, but they're supporting, right? So you have to look at what activities do you want to be doing in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, your 90s, and 100s, right? Just imagine us at 100 years old, right? With our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids, right? All part of this mission, right? So it's important when I say family empire, it's looking beyond your like weekly calendar, like, or your yearly calendar. Look at it in the long term, right? So
it's a marathon.
Exactly. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? You may think it's a 4-year sprint, but even that 4 years is a marathon. You go through a lot in those 4 years.
Oh, yes.
Right. So, you know, I think we as human beings, and I think Tony Robbins said this, and it's an amazing line, we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we grossly underestimate what we can do in a decade. Right? Think about where you were 5 years ago. Does it seem that long? Right? It seems like yesterday. What have we done in those 5 years? Right? So it is it's a question of properly evaluating time and planning for it. So that's the family empire that connects you with your mission and that has that income. So when you think of empires, you think of, you know, owning land and owning real estate And that's all great, right? But God doesn't make more land, right? We're just starting to build up, right? But this empire is an empire of, it's a legacy of creating change in the world and being properly financially compensated for it. It's okay to help improve somebody's life and be paid for it.
Mhm.
And I think once you give yourself that permission, give yourself the permission to be paid for the time you put in helping people with this business, then you're going to see that you are giving a lot more value than what you're bringing in. But that is the key to abundance. Give more than what you receive.
That is perfect. So I'm just answering Mika's question. So I would recommend the barley grass juice, organic spectrum. I mean, these are MVP kids that I love. It's high in vitamin D3. It's a delicious chocolate milk. It's like a delicious chocolate milkshake. You have the love meal. You have, there's so many things, and all of these things will give you energy. And they're perfect. They're perfect for a busy mom. And then we have the juice bar in a bag. The juice bar in a bag is something that you can become your own like food alchemist in the kitchen. You can start mixing things together, from the cocoa hydrate to the canned beet this to, you know, the bio fruit. So, and the carrot juice. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. So I would encourage you to look at the juice bar in a bag and add the barley grass juice to it.
All right.
Any other questions?
So we've got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear somebody's voice.
Yeah, unmute.
Unmute, put yourself on video. Let's answer your questions.
Yes. Unmute. Or we're going to be picking on people because, you know.
Hi,
Hi.
this is Lucy.
Oh,
Yes, Phil.
I'm like just gonna jump in.
Go for
And
it.
I'm kind of new. I have an art business. I paint. I've made some passive income, not putting out too much, just a few videos here and there. I was kind of already in the flow of it. The biomedic got me away from all my anxiety and stuff. Surprisingly, while I was doing the videos, I noticed. And then, so now I'm very excited about these things, but I still, I guess I could use just a little bit of advice where I'm at. I make pretty good money doing the painting. So I have some of my old patterns that I'm coming out of, but do you have any, I guess, advice just for somebody that's kind of new, but I see a reason to dart it, you know, but I also don't, I also feel a little bit intimidated about, you know, telling people about the solution, which is weird. I love that there's a solution, and that's where a lot of my rest comes from these days.
All right. So the benefits you're feeling is with the quality of your sleep.
Everything. I have no question that Purium is the bomb. The questions I have is about like, how do I start to build a good pattern to where it's within my funnel, also with my live painting that I do. Just, you know, I've been just having a hard time fitting it because I'm also a little zany kind of comedian part. Sometimes people associate me with, so they don't know always to take me seriously. And sometimes I don't know whether to take myself serious all the time. But I know that I take this is serious to me. It's a solution. I never thought it would exist, but it does. So now I'm having trouble breaking through that wall. Like, I know that this is real, but I feel like people go like, whoa, you know, like that's, yeah, I'm sure it's the thing. Okay. They already associate me eating very strict, even before I discovered Purium.
Mhm.
So if you had any advice, that's just a loose kind of question. Just,
So did you hear the way you just explained everything?
yes, kind
Yeah.
of.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story.
Hmm.
That's how you start.
Huh. Okay. I didn't think about it that way. Thank you.
You just do. Get started, right? Your
Yes.
story is moving me.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's what I was looking for, is like, where should I focus on when I'm talking about
Your story, your why, what happened to you. Share your story. It's the most impactful thing that we can ever share to someone, is how this helped me. And now I have the solution. I need to share it with you. That's it.
it?
That's
Yes.
it. We are in a company, in a mission-based company, to share our message.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Ashley.
I'm glad I was able to ask.
I hope that helped.
It does, very much so.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your question.
Can I
Okay,
add something to that? Or did someone
yes.
else want to speak? Phil, that was super cool. And what I wanted to say, like, if ever you feel like nervous, like you should paint and talk and like have your power shake or whatever you drink next to you, kind of just like, you know, it could be a way that you could kind of ease your way into getting comfortable with talking to people. So like make a painting and have your juice next to you, take a sip here and there and talk about how you've been feeling. So that could be an introduction. Like you could do like reels, like with your comedy, like just add all those great amazing things about yourself
Make it
and just
authentic.
just add Purium in there. Like there's so much potential for you with all the talent that you bring and who you are as an individual. So like don't ever look at what you think may be a setback. Those are actually, that's where the magic is. So I just want you
Thank
to, I
you.
just wanted to drop
Thank
that
you
on
so much, Giselle.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, Kathy, I would love to hear from you. Do we have to unmute her? I think we have to ask to unmute. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Hi, my question is about the power shake. I have a customer who's asked, they're thinking of adding the spirulina or the the renew.
Okay.
So I don't know if they need really to add the spirulina with the power shake because it already includes it. And what would your recommendation be for that?
Okay, well, I add extra spirulina to my power shake.
Can
It's
never have
already,
too much.
Okay.
yeah, you can never have too much. You know, I love my
Mhm.
spirulina and the renew as well. You know, here's a tip that I love doing with the renew. You can actually open the renew.
Mhm.
Okay, and have it in your juices.
Mhm.
It's delicious. It tastes like spa water. This was brought to me from one of my brand partners, and I've been doing it ever since. It's amazing. So, I mean, you can all present options. This is what we're all about.
Mhm. Well, they're thinking of adding either the spirulina or the renew. So I'm not sure which.
Okay,
would
so
be
if it's an
best.
either or, I would choose the renew because now the power shake already has the spirulina.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, Mika. Yes, unmute.
Hi, this is Ashley. This is Micah's wife.
I'm here too.
Can we see you guys?
Well, the problem is we're in our pajamas.
Home life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a 6-month-old and I got a 6-year-old. So, but it's actually good to hear from y'all and learn more about the shakes and the more, I guess, vitamins and other things I had to look into, because when he presented it to me, I was like, no, I didn't believe him at first, and this is impossible. And who'd you learn this from? And why are you doing it? And then after he started doing it, I was like, okay, this is your thing. You do you. because I'm too busy with a 6-month-old and a 6-year-old, getting up, doing normal things and taking the kid to school. So now I think I will get into more social media than doing what I have been doing.
Absolutely. And Ashley, we have a whole Purium pregnancy and postpartum. We have a whole Purium Facebook group. So I would highly encourage you to plug into those Facebook groups and the Million Mom official group. And we post so many things. So like post-pregnancy, what to take, what will help with energy. So we have a lot of resources for you. And even plugging into the Fierce Friday calls. It's a community of us moms and fathers and families and caregivers, we have so many of us there. So plug into the calls, even with your kid on your hip. This is what we're all about.
Alrighty, I will look into that. Thank you.
I will look for you. Thank you so much.
You'll get to see us next time.
Looking forward to it.
All right. So I think we're at the top of the hour.
We're at the top of the hour. Well, thank you so much. Did we answer all the questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. So this call will be, it's recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. Okay. So feel free to go back and listen to it and share it with people if this resonates with them. If they have a spouse, they have a boyfriend, whatever, who is undecided about the business, like have them listen to this call and hopefully it'll open their eyes about something they're missing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for all being here. Thank you for your time and have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night.